Next week, the Browns are playing the Bears. The Bears have been an interesting team. By record, they're terrible. By roster, also not that good. But they just beat the Lions. Pretty surprising. And they beat another team recently. I forget who. Or they were really competitive with them. I'm blanking on who it was. It might have been the Lions as well. I don't remember. But the Bears have had a couple games where they've played above their ability. What do you think we can expect, though, from this Browns-Bears matchup next week?
Yeah, so the Bears, they are interesting. The one thing is to remember is that a lot of teams do have random games where they're really good. Besides, like, the Panthers.
Exactly.
Right? Like, and there's a few teams that are just like, okay, they're just terrible. But even the Jets, right? Like, they just came out and they won 30-6. Like, they spanked the Texans. So, you don't know, right? And teams do have those random moments. And there's a reason why people say any given Sunday. So, you really never know for sure. I mean, if anything, any given season would be a good word, too. I mean, look at the Chiefs this year. Like, no, they look at the Bills. Like, I don't know. So, There's that aspect to it for sure. But the Bears, I will say also they got a few wins without their starting quarterback, Justin Fields. This week, he was back this week, though, when they beat up on the Lions. But honestly, it kind of feels like a team like that, to get that big win, it's like, yeah, and then that's kind of their win for a couple of weeks. And I don't think they're going to bounce. I don't feel like there's a team that, they gained confidence and now they're playing well, like a Vikings team might have before the injury to Kirk Cousins when they had gone off on a run. It looked like, oh, wow, they might be really, really good. Maybe the Broncos, even they went off on a 5-game win streak, and you're thinking there is the talent. Like, who knows what might happen there? Mm-hmm. There is something that makes you pause. The Bears don't have anybody that makes you pause. It just feels like, okay, they had a couple good games. There's some talent on the roster. Good for them. But you're not really sweating it. It doesn't feel like that. It feels more like, they had a good game, more than, that might have woke something up. So I actually think, look, because they won, the Bears, the Browns probably won't underestimate them. And at the same time, I think as long as they show up with the talent and they show up and mean it and take it seriously, they're just considerably better than the Bears. They just really are. And they should be able to shut down the offense. And the Bears don't have the world's best defense. So our offense has actually been competent. I would always feel nervous in previous matchups. But with Flacco at the helm, I've actually been, despite his mistakes, I've still felt the most confident in the offense all year that I've ever felt. So
I think they've shown the most consistency in movement.
Didn't expect that from Flacco. But that's where we are. Exactly. The most consistency. So I feel confident in that end. And from that perspective, I don't see the amount of turnovers as this past game happening. So I see more of a 24-13 Browns victory.
Okay. I mean, I'm thinking something along similar lines as far as scoreline goes. Coming into this one, the Bears just beat the Lions. If anything, I think that makes them even less likely to beat the Browns, because I think the Bears are going to be feeling some false confidence. I think they're going to be feeling really good about themselves. Like, oh yeah, we're good. They're not good. And this does happen a lot when you see teams, bad teams will sometimes have that win or two that you don't expect from them. And often teams that aren't that good, they kind of come off a high emotion win. It's pretty normal for them they're going to regress to the mean, is what I'm getting at. The Bears had that big win. They're going to regress to the mean against the Browns, and I think it's going to be a pretty embarrassing game for them, actually. And based off the Browns' ability to put up 31 against the Jags, they were pretty competent last week. Like we were saying, that Joe Flacco has shown us the most consistency, perhaps, in the offense. Just drive to drive, they generally have been able to move. Obviously, not every single drive they're going to score, but generally speaking, we've seen a pretty consistent offense, and you felt like when they got the ball that they got a chance to score. And I think they're going to take it to the Bears next week. I think the Browns are going to win. This is a big prediction. 28-10. I think they're going to dominate the Bears on offense, defense, a complete game, and the Browns are going to be feeling really, really good about themselves next week. I think the fan base is going to be feeling really good, and I think we're going to be talking next week after this win. I think we're going to be talking about, it's still going to be only a win against the Bears, but I think we're going to be talking about the Browns as maybe they could even win a game in the playoffs next week. But it's certainly a hopeful prediction, but I was right this week about my prediction against the Jags, about them getting the win, so I'm going to say that makes me the all-knowing power on this.
Think about this. If we are the first wild card, we would play the 4th seed, right? That might very well be the Jags.
Yeah.
Looking at it right now, it's looking at the Jags. It might be a rematch of this. Now, we'd be on the road. But it feels pretty good, so something to keep in mind.
Yeah, absolutely.